And welcome to today's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Paul Dottino, Matt Citak with you for the next hour. If you'd like to dial us up, 201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. You can also find us on social media, hashtag Giants Chat on X, or you could always go to our YouTube site, New York Giants YouTube page. The show is simulcast there. You can write some questions and comments there if you like. Remember, if you don't catch the show live, an archive of the show and our entire podcast network is available on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcasts. As usual, we come to you from the Giants podcast studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. And with that, Matt, I guess we should start the program with an understanding that over the last 24 hours or so, the Giants continue to be busy, as they have been throughout the course of the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I was working yesterday. We got to around 4 o'clock. I'm like, haven't been any moves. We're in the clear. It's going to be a quiet afternoon.
They
then
all of a
sudden, just a flurry of stuff. I would say no major moves. These are all minor moves but filling out the roster. I mean, of course, we know that about a week or 2 weeks ago, Casey Kreider, who's been the long snapper for the Giants the last 6 seasons, followed former special teams coordinator Michael Gabriel to Arizona, signed with the Cardinals. Well, the Giants seem to have, at least potentially, added his replacement yesterday in long snapper Zach Triner. Zach Triner.
That's how I pronounced it.
Has played in 85 regular season games, almost all of which were with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was their long snapper for about 6 seasons.
And a Super Bowl.
Yes, he was part of the Super Bowl championship team. He played 3 games with the Miami Dolphins in 2024 and 1 game with the Commanders last year. So he's only played in 4 total games, really, the last couple seasons. He's spent time with a bunch of other teams, 5 different other teams. He's kind of jumped around a lot. He went to Assumption College, where he actually starred in lacrosse. He was a lacrosse star first. Then at Siena College, transferred to Assumption to start beginning to play football, where he was a linebacker and a long snapper. Went undrafted. He actually, after going undrafted, didn't sign or make his NFL appearance for another, I believe, 3 years later. And then he finally got his first chance with the Bucs, and then was there for about 5.5 seasons, jumped around a little bit, and now he seems to be, right now he's the only long snapper on the roster. So I would say he is, at the very least, the front runner to be the Giants long snapper this upcoming season. And that just highlights, the Giants have completely revamped their special teams unit.
They really have.
They have a new long snapper. They have a new punter. They brought in Jason Sanders, and there is also Ben Sauls, who finished the last season as the Giants kicker. They're both currently on the roster. Graham Gano is still on the roster. But overall, it seems like there's a good chance that the Giants could have 3 new specialists in that special teams unit. And sticking with the special teams theme, around the same time that the Giants agreed to terms, or actually officially signed long snapper Zach Triner, a report came out that they agreed to terms with linebacker Cam Jones, who is primarily a special teams player, spent last season with the Jets. So this is, the normal group of words, reports, pending a physical, not official yet. But he began his career with the Chiefs, spent 2 seasons with the Chiefs, won a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. He was with the Chiefs team that won a Super Bowl. 44 regular season games total, only 2 starts, but 17 special teams tackles. This is another special teams ace. I'm thinking of prior Giants, someone like what was the linebacker from Penn State, the really tall.
Cam Brown.
I was about to say Cam Jones.
Well,
that's this guy's name.
Yeah, he
that sort of role I could see him having on the special team.
In each of his 3 seasons in the league, he played more than 60% special team snaps.
Yes.
So he has extensive experience doing it. And as you mentioned, both of these guys have a Super Bowl ring.
Yes, and a fun fact about Cam Jones, he is collegiate teammates with Micah McFadden. The 2 of them were linebackers at Indiana together. They spent 3 seasons together. I believe it was 3 seasons together. And Cam Jones was actually a captain for that Indiana football team. So, at the very least, there's a familiar face for Micah to reportedly hang out with.
So I think this puts the Giants up to about 24 either new signings or re-signings. It's roughly 24 now. Again, you know what? Let me pull back. I don't want to use the word signings. I'll say about 24 deals, either renewals or additions. It's roughly 24 since free agency opened. You want to count it out exactly?
Yeah.
So start it out with the legalized tampering period.
Okay. So Gunnar doesn't count because that was before?
That was before. It doesn't count.
Okay. Caleb Murphy, that was during the negotiating period.
Yeah, so he counts. So start there. Start there. See how many you got. It's about 24 now. In the meantime, we do know that the Giants, as we have read the reports
21.
online, it's 21.
21 so that have officially signed.
Oh.
Cam Jones would be 22.
Okay. Well, it's almost 24.
That's almost 24.
Okay.
You're right.
And so here's the thing. We all said to you going in that the Giants were in the middle of the pack salary cap-wise when free agency started. Okay? Since that time, they've re-upped guys. They've added guys, a lot more than any of us, I think, thought, at least this early in the process. But they have done a marvelous job, according to the reports that are out there, in terms of structuring these contracts. Many of them are one-year minimums. All right, that's a big deal. And then, in addition to that, a lot of them have a bunch of triggers in them, incentives and bonuses. And because they used a bunch of not likely to be earned bonuses, those pieces of change would not count on the 26 cap. They would only count on the 27 cap if these guys fulfill all of their promise.
Yeah.
Now, we all know the cap goes up every year.
The cap goes up, yeah.
So therefore, that money, if any of those guys do achieve all of their incentives, those incentive dollars actually becomes a smaller percentage of the 27 cap because we know the 27 cap is going to rise.
100%. And if any of these guys that have all these incentives built into their contracts reportedly do reach them, that means they're having very good seasons. So that will help the Giants, of course, all in the field in 2026.
No doubt.
And then B, that sets those players up to sign most likely bigger long-term contracts, multi-year contracts next offseason, which that could happen with the Giants, that could happen with another team. If it does happen with another team, guess what? That then will help the Giants when it comes to the compensatory pick formula. Obviously, we don't know what moves the Giants might potentially make next offseason, how much cap space they'll actually have next offseason. But signing these guys to one-year deals with all these incentives, if those guys reach these incentives, it will help the Giants in 2026 and could potentially help them in the comp pick formula moving forward as well. Because if they go off and sign big, huge deals with another team, obviously it depends what the Giants do as well, but that puts the Giants in a good position to potentially add a comp pick, which could be, a late 3rd round pick, a late 4th round pick, which is just another cheap rookie contract of someone that could be a contributor right away or pretty early on.
Now, it doesn't always work this way, but when you sign a bunch of guys to one-year deals, they certainly are incentivized to do everything they can to maximize their value because they know that they're basically advertising themselves. So the guys are all in contract years when you do a one-year deal. Now, one of my connections that I talk to regularly down in Washington told me that was part of the success of the Commanders 2 years ago. Now, I didn't go and research it, so if somebody wants to call up and be a wise guy and say, well, I know exactly how many one-year deals they signed 2 years ago, feel free to do so because I just took the guy's word for it. He said to me, the Commanders did sign a lot of one-year deals 2 seasons ago, and it worked out. It was one of the reasons why they got production out of those guys, one of the reasons why they wound up going to the playoffs.
100%. Yeah, I mean, they signed several guys. I mean, just one off the top of my head was the signing of Bobby Wagner, which at the time was just a one-year deal. And then he signed another one-year deal this past year and had Pro Bowl seasons. I think he was an All-Pro 2 years ago. He was one of the best middle linebackers in the league. That was just one example, one of the bigger name of guys. But yeah, I mean, look, we have not really seen in recent years the Giants play, if you want to call it the compensatory pick game.
Right.
See, a lot of people refer to it as that. The Giants haven't really done that, but obviously that was a very big part of what the Baltimore Ravens have done for the better part of the last 2 decades. And obviously now John Harbaugh is here, and he is, helping make all of these decisions for the Giants. So that could be something. We don't know this for sure. It hasn't been talked about, but it could be something that starts playing a little bit more of a role in some of the decisions the Giants make in free agency moving forward than what we have seen in the past.
Well, between Joe Shane, the GM, and between Kim Aponte, the new VP, who was brought in as a salary cap specialist. Okay, let's not forget that. That's when she was at the NFL. That was a very big part of her job.
Yeah, Dawn Aponte has a very, very, successful background and a very impressive resume prior to coming here. She's a guru. Here. Yeah, she really is.
So putting all this together, maybe we're just, I don't know, maybe some of you folks were able to realize this anyway, and that's fine if you were. But if you weren't, it makes a lot of sense. The Giants have been very, very astute in the way they went about this stuff, business-wise. Now, performance on the field ultimately is all that matters. Okay, we understand that. Okay, we get that. But from a business perspective, they certainly set themselves up in a very smart way to succeed. All right, so we got that stuff out of the way. Today, one of the big topics that we really wanted to address is what's going on at the NFL meetings next week. They'll be meeting in Phoenix, Arizona on Sunday through Wednesday. And there's a bunch of rules, proposals, and changes that they're going to discuss. They're going to vote on. Matt and I will get into that in just a second. I do have somebody on hold, though, and I want to get this caller out of the way because I have a feeling the rules proposals will take quite a bit of our time as we discuss those. So, Dan of the Poconos, we're going to let you get in on the program early. And thank you for joining us today on Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Oh, Paul, thank you. It's my pleasure always. Been a Giant fan for over 40 years, I think. Yeah, even longer than that. Geez, but I just wanted to mention I loved your the huddle with you and Gary Reasons. That was awesome. I just listened to it about a half hour ago. That was awesome getting his perspective. Can you tell me what college team does he broadcast for?
He does a bunch of games all around Texas. He's a regional announcer. He's been with ESPN. He's been with Fox Sports down there. He's done FCS award shows. Obviously, remember he played at Northwest Louisiana, so he's very, very fond of the FCS level of football. So he has done, I can't even begin to tell you how many games over the course of time, but usually they're regional games that are shown down there either on the network or on cable in the Texas area. He doesn't broadcast for a particular team.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it was just really good to listen to him talking. It was awesome. And you're all four of you guys, your draft coverage this year is just as it's always been for so many years. It's like I don't need anybody else. I know everything about everybody. Just
you're very kind.
BBKL. That's all I need, man. I'm telling you.
We appreciate
you guys that. You do a great job. So my only, I'll be in and out. I know Love is a great talent. I just want to go on the defensive side. I know, and probably the pass rush ain't going to be there, but Styles or Downs. I mean, I'm so excited about this year. I know I get excited every year, but I think we Giants fans, we have reason to be optimistic on everything going on. And with our running game and with Ricard being signed, we're good. We're good there, And I think Tate might make me a little crazy if he's still available. But, I just hope we go with Styles or Downs, And I just wanted, because I was listening to the show yesterday with John and Moose, and they were, it was a lot of talk about Love, and I was like, I know he's good, but we're good there, man. Been there, done that, let's go, let's get that Big Blue defense back, strong as hell, so we can win some games that way, Defense wins championships. Right?
I know you're on top of it, but for those of you who don't have a long-term memory, right, I just want to remind you guys that last year around this time, every media outlet was enamored with the fact that Brian Daboll would go to the all-star workouts and to the pro days and was like laughing it up and constantly seen in the presence of Shedeur Sanders. And the media took that to mean Brian Daboll loves Shedeur Sanders. He salivates for Shedeur Sanders. He's got to have Shedeur Sanders. For about 2 weeks straight, did we not hear that every day, Matt?
More than 2 weeks. So, yes, it was more like 2 months we heard it every day.
Okay, and you know what? That storyline could not have been further from the truth. So, be very, very careful. Now we're hearing all of this stuff about Love, Jeremiah Love, and I get it. Terrific player, terrific prospect, wonderful. I have nothing but great things to say about the player. I personally don't see the logic in it. I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying I also don't know anything about this coaching staff. I don't know, John, what Harbaugh wants to do. I don't know what him and his people are thinking and what they're discussing upstairs. But be very careful about this rumor mill, which I can't give you a better example than Shedeur Sanders.
Well, we do know that John Harbaugh wants to run the football. That he's made clear.
That we do.
But the Giants obviously have three capable running backs right now that have plenty of experience and success. So all I'll say is we are less than 1 month to go from the draft. This is, and it's already been going on for weeks, but this is prime smokescreen season.
It really is.
This is across the league for every team. Paul mentioned the Shedeur Sanders rumors last year. 2 years ago, we heard the same rumors about the Giants and J.J. McCarthy at 6. Once it became clear that the top 3 quarterbacks are going to be gone by the time the Giants got on the clock at 6, then all of a sudden it was, the Giants are in love with J.J. McCarthy. They're going to take him. Obviously, that did not happen. So we, as Paul mentioned, we don't know what the front office is thinking, what the coaching staff is thinking, and that's a good thing that we don't know what they're thinking of who they want with the 5th pick. But all I will say is we have seen since John Harbaugh took over about 2 months ago now, not many things get leaked out to the media.
In this building,
the press.
It's been airtight.
It has been pretty tight-lipped over the last 2 months. If the Giants were truly enamored with Jeremiah Love and had their sights set on him with the 5th overall pick, personally, I don't think there would be so much smoke around it. I feel like it would be the opposite. They would be trying to shy teams away, other teams from thinking that that's where they want to go. I mean, one of our callers, I believe it was on Monday's show, it might have been last week, called in to say like the Giants have this history of other teams, NFC East teams, and just other teams in general, knowing who they're targeting and then leapfrogging them in the draft and taking that guy right from underneath them. Because of that history, which it has happened several times over the years, I don't think personally that there would be such a big narrative about the Giants being in love with him if they really did have their sights like solely set on Jeremiah Love at 5. So I think that means, maybe they're trying to get someone to trade up either ahead of them, so that pushes down another good player to them at 5, or maybe they're trying to build buzz so someone comes up and offers them some big offer to move up to 5, and then the Giants can move down, stockpile some picks, and still get a very good player. Obviously, we'll find out what the case is in less than a month from now, but I'm with Paul that I personally, just because of the talent the Giants already have at running back, and as great as Jeremiah Love is and might be in the NFL, I don't really see it either.
Dan, I leave you with this story. Many years ago, much earlier in my career, I was told that general managers would lie to their mother around the draft because they are not giving out any information at all. So please excuse them if they are willing to lie to your face. That's just the way it is. This is the time, right?
Thanks,
this is
guys.
the time for smoke. Have a great day, Dan.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you so much. I will tell you one thread of logic that does make sense for a position that is not necessarily highly sought after by a lot of fans, and certainly the large segment of the fan base that is really itching for defense at 5. And I understand that. My goodness, if Downs or Styles are available, the value for either one of those guys at 5 is right there. Okay, so I get that. But you've heard Tony Pauline and John on the Draft Season podcast talk about how Mauanoa and Fano, the two offensive tackles, are probably more like 10 to 15 value, right? They're not top 5 value as you look at them today as offensive tackles. They would be down a little bit. And that if you wanted to pick them as a tackle because you felt there was a need, you'd have to push them up a little bit on your board to justify taking them at 5. That's what Tony has talked about. John has talked about it with him. We've heard many other people who we know in football circles say similar things. But I will say this. If you want to talk about a thread of logic to one of those two guys, we just had a conversation, okay, with one of the media experts, actually the play-by-play guy who handles Utah. And here's the thing. He made a really good point about it. If you think, and this goes for Mananoa as well, but if you think Fano or Mananoa are going to be decade-long super studs at guard, even though 5 would be usually high, Quentin Nelson was taken at 6.
Yep.
Right? If you think that maybe as a tackle, they're worth 10 to 15, but as a guard, they're that great, they've got that much potential to be an all-star guard for a decade. Well, here's what I will say. The Giants right now have guards that are not perfectly locked into the John Harbaugh model. Harbaugh likes the big, sturdy, strong, physical, gigantic boxcar frame type of guards on his team. That's why Falele played in Baltimore. He wasn't very good. He wasn't very talented, but he fit Harbaugh's description and want list. So we played him all last year. I've talked to people in Baltimore. They said Harbaugh refused to bench him. He wasn't that good, but Harbaugh has a preference for that kind of guy. Well, if you put a few pounds on Fano or Mananoa, with the type of physicality in their frames, you could probably see that Harbaugh might at least scratch his head and say, yeah, I might think about one of these guys. Because Runyon is a technician. He's not a mauler. He's a technician. At right guard, we still don't know how that competition's going to shake out. Now, I think we would agree Neal would be more of a mauler if he's going to work out and win the spot. I think we would agree Azudu is more of a mauler if he's going to win the spot. Van Rode's more of a technician if he comes back and wins the spot. Kubas is more of a technician if he somehow wins the spot. So I guess what I'm saying is, if John Harbaugh has an everlasting thirst for a bigger framed guard and thinks that one of those two guys can project to a high level, I mean high, you got to project high, Matt. If you're not thinking super duper high, you can't do it. But if he really believes that, I'm going to tell you folks, I could see a shred of logic if he asked Joe Shane to take one of those guys at 5. I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken about this before and said the same exact thing. And I think you got to add the Penn State guard in there as well then. Because if you're talking about picking one of those two tackles and just having them play on the inside.
Ioane, right?
Yeah. At least for the next couple of years, because obviously Jermaine Illuminor was just re-signed to a multi-year deal. Andrew Thomas is locked in for a few more years. The only spots open are on the interior. So if that's the case, then all 3 of those guys, I think, and I've said this before, I've written about it on Giants.com, I think all 3 could then be in play. And I know, you could have the whole argument of, well, you're taking a guard at 5. That's way too early position value. And I get it. That is true. But as you just mentioned, Paul, if you're taking a guy that you think can immediately from his rookie season compete and potentially play at a Pro Bowl level as in year 1 and then only build and get better from that, what better way to gift and reward your now second-year quarterback than picking the best possible offensive lineman with your first pick
and
Penn State, beefing up that protection in front of him?
Our Penn State voice pretty much said that he felt that way about Ioane.
Yeah, I mean, Ioane is considered to be the best, by many people, the best guard prospect since Quentin Nelson. And as you mentioned, the Colts took Quentin Nelson 6 overall in 2018. And even then, people were like, oh, that's so high for a guard. Before the whole conversation about position, value, I feel like has been brought to the forefront more now than it was 8 years ago. But still, the Colts heard it 8 years ago. And guess what? You think they have any sort of shred of regret of taking Quentin Nelson, who's been a Pro Bowl almost every single season? No, he's helped solidify and just anchor that offensive line for the last 8 years. If the Giants can pick one of these offensive linemen, whether it's any of those three, yes, taking them at 5 might be seen as a bit of a reach to some people, but if you think that guy is the best offensive lineman in the draft, what does it matter if he's a guard, if he's a tackle? The Giants took Andrew Thomas at 4 in 2020, and no one thought twice about it. So if you think that guy is the best offensive lineman, if he is the number one guy on your board, and as much as I personally, I agree with the last caller, Dan, that I would love to see, and one of those Ohio State defensive players, Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs, that would be my choice as of right now. But I would have no problem whatsoever taking any of these offensive linemen and shoring up that right guard spot, because then all of a sudden you have 2 tackles that you feel very, very confident and comfortable with, and a potential, Pro Bowl level guard. Having those 3, that's going to also help elevate those other 2 guys on the line that maybe aren't quite up to that same level, even though John Michael Schmitz did, take a step this past season, and John Runyan has been solid. Those 3 guys, that's going to help elevate the entire offensive line. We thought the line was good last year. Can you imagine if you added a, potential Pro Bowler at one of those guard spots?
Well, let's make it very clear. This team did not sign Greg Roman to be on the offensive staff and then go out and get Patrick Ricard, who's a moose of a fullback, to be a finesse offense.
No. This could be a power team.
I mean, so you will want to get more power style linemen at some point. Now, whether or not you do it this year, maybe that's something you do in 2027. I don't know.
Or it could be something you do
get later on in the draft.
Later in the draft. I mean,
absolutely.
I've said this before, but when the Giants get on the clock at 37, there is a very good chance that the best player available will be a guard.
Could be.
It could be the top 2 or 3 players available are all guards. So that would be, obviously an argument to maybe not taking one of those linemen. But obviously when you're on the clock at 5, you can't expect what's going to be happening at 37, because we've seen crazy stuff happen in the draft before. Guys drop, other guys go well before everyone else thinks they should. So you can't make the pick at 5 thinking of, who might be there at 37. You just take the best player available, whoever's the top of your board when you get on the clock at 5. If it's an offensive lineman, you do it and you don't think twice.
Yeah. And quite frankly, the offensive linemen that the Giants are going to add at some point, because I feel very confident that they will, whether it's between now and the draft or in the draft, it will be a big-time boxcar bruiser. They're not going to add a technique offensive lineman. Trust me when I tell you that. Harbaugh is going to want a bruiser, and it's going to be an interior lineman. That's for sure. It's going to have to fit that profile. That's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No argument here.
Quickly, we got a couple of YouTubes also before we get to the NFL rules proposals. Jason Marr, 5397. He is speaking our language and singing our song, Matt. He says, John Harbaugh drafted 6'8", 380-pound right tackle Daniel Falele, kicked him inside to right guard in the NFL. He's about to do the same with Marinoa. Manoa will be the pick at 5. He's going to be the starting right guard. He's going to be a dominant All-Pro Hall of Fame right guard. Marinoa eliminates bull rushers. Bull rushers die on impact with him. Prototypical NFL right guard. Center guard has been neglected for 2 years now. He says, Gettleman had a quote, said, you must make at least one major addition to the O-line every offseason. So, obviously, Jason, we did not have to explain this line of logic to you. You have already figured it out. But it's obvious that there are some folks who would, I think, be really disappointed if the Giants took a lineman at 5, an old lineman. I think there are.
For sure. There are some that would be. But then again, if that guy a couple of years from now already has a couple of Pro Bowls and All-Pros on their resume, then I don't think anyone will be complaining.
Lucas Life Lesson says, I will be very happy with any offensive lineman in the first round. You find a starter with that pick. It's amazing value and super important. I think we have already explained taking a tackle there to play tackle, given the Giants' current state, with Andrew Thomas having money and years left on his deal, having Marcus Bowe, we think being a tackle behind Jermaine Illuminor, who just signed a deal, it'd be hard for me to imagine they'll take a tackle.
Yeah, I would say the main difference, I would say, in the conversation between maybe adding a tackle there at 5 compared to Jeremiah Love, a running back, when you already have Cam Scadaboo and Tyrone Tracy, is I don't know if any of these top tackle prospects, or I guess the two, Maui Noah and Fanu, I don't think they're immediately better than Andrew Thomas, obviously, or Jermaine Illuminor, who's coming off 2 best seasons in the NFL with the Giants. Now, Jeremiah Love is another story because he is one of those, freak running back prospects. Like, he is worthy of being a top 5, a top 10 pick, which does not happen often for running back. So, and that's nothing against Cam Scadaboo or Tyrone Tracy because they've obviously both had their moments and have both been good for the Giants. Scadaboo last year, Tracy the last 2 years. But there's no argument that if you were to draft Jeremiah Love and add him to that group, that's just adding a totally different offensive weapon than what you already have. Those 2 tackles, I'm not sure you're getting much different from what you already have.
I had someone who has seen Noah a lot, as opposed to just video cut-ups that I've looked at. And they said to me, in all honesty, he reminds them of Illuminor, but a stronger version of Illuminor, one who's a little bit better in the run game than Illuminor, but said he's not that far off. He's very similar as a player. Yeah. So, there you go. Anyway, that goes to your point. Donald Cambareri says, what everyone is not factoring in is how much better the present roster will be being coached up by this coaching staff. Well, that's certainly going to be a factor. He says, case in point, Evan Neal. If he improves, it's like an extra draft pick. Well, if Evan Neal wins the starting guard job, yeah, to be honest with you, it's kind of like a delayed first-round draft pick, right?
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
In a way, it is. 11 Emily, he's one of the regulars who usually hits us up on the YouTube page. He says, that long snapper you're talking about, does he have any issues? I read somewhere he was a backup. He hasn't played a ton of games. I think he's been with more than a handful of organizations in his time in the NFL. But here's what I will say. Brian Hudson, by the way, does have long snapping experience. Not, I think, in the NFL, maybe in college. He has been a long snapper. So he is the other long snapper on the roster. But clearly, by signing somebody who is a long snapping specialist, they had a desire and a need to get somebody who just does that. Clearly.
Yeah. And when he was with the Buccaneers, he was their long snapper. Since
for 2 years, right? He was the starting long snapper?
He was with them for like 5 seasons.
Right, but I think he snapped a 17-game season full for 2 seasons. I don't know if he played the whole...
I don't know how he would have gotten up to...
Take a look.
85 career games if he wasn't...
No, that's true. He must have snapped a whole bunch more, but I think he had 2 17
2019 and 2020, he snapped played in all 16 games. 2021, only 9, but then 2022 and 2023, all 17. He was released from the Buccaneers during the 2024 season. So
4 full seasons.
He played 9 games for them, and then 9 games total that season, 6 with Tampa Bay, and then he got picked up by the Dolphins, where he only played in 3 games, and then from that point on, again, he played 3 games with Miami and 1 game with the Commanders over a season and a half. So, yeah, obviously in that period, he was not the starting long snapper.
I don't know what his circumstances were, but it's 4 full seasons in his time in Tampa, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, I mean, true. I don't know what the circumstances were with him. It's obviously, I did not pay much attention to him, to be frank with you. I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful to the player. But, yeah, 4 full seasons during his NFL career. So, be that as it may, it's not unusual, though, for long snappers to float around to different organizations because they're a specific niche. And, somebody gets hurt, somebody makes a phone call, somebody grabs him, then all of a sudden maybe the regular comes back because he was injured. And it doesn't mean the other guy who subbed was bad. It just means that all of a sudden, our guy's back, we're going to let you go. I mean, it happens.
I mean, I think the Giants have been fortunate over the last, almost 20 years now that Zach Dossie held down that position for a very long time. And then Casey Kreider held down that position for, 6 years? 5 years, 6 years?
Every year was a 1-year contract, too.
Yeah, but, it made it so the Giants didn't really have to worry about that position at all. Obviously now going through a change of the whole specialist unit, so we'll see what Zach Schreiner has.
All right, Dr. Pancake 27. Okay. Which team is most likely to trade up to 5 and for which prospect? Folks, we all know that the sexy thing to move up is for a quarterback. No one is moving up for a quarterback to number 5 in this draft. So it's anybody's guess whether somebody is so much enamored with Love or so much enamored with Styles that they're like, I got to make a move. I guess that could happen. I don't know if it will.
Yeah, I would say chances are it doesn't. It could, but it would take a team, completely falling in love. I think Jeremiah Love would be the guy that someone would potentially trade up for.
Yeah.
Now, if you asked me this a month ago, I would have said I think there's at least somewhat of a chance that either the New Orleans Saints or Kansas City Chiefs, who I believe are 8 and 9 in the draft, one of them maybe want to trade up for Jeremiah Love. But then the Saints went out and signed ETN, and the Chiefs went out and signed Kenneth Walker. So I don't see either of those two teams now trading additional draft assets to move up to take Jeremiah Love. The one team that I've just seen connected to Jeremiah Love a lot outside of the top 5 would be the Washington Commanders with the 7th pick. Maybe they fall so in love with him that they're like, we got to get him. We don't want to risk someone else taking him or moving up to get him.
So
we're going to move up to 4, maybe even swap with the Giants at 5 to get him. But
you'd have to dupe them, though. You'd have to fool them and bluff them into making a move.
I don't know how likely that is. I think there's a better chance they just stick at 7 and hope that he drops to them, which there's a decent chance he will.
Yeah, sure.
And I guess Sonny Styles would be the other one, where a team where I don't even want to put this out there, but a team like the Cowboys, who now have the 2 first-round picks, maybe they fall in love with him. They have a need a linebacker, decide they want to move up and try to get him.
Could somebody be so enamored and infatuated with Downs? I don't think so.
To come up to 5? I don't think so. If he starts dropping and gets towards the bottom of the top 10, maybe a team that's, in the teens is like, we got to go get him. It's not going to cost us that much at this point. I could see it then, but at 5, as good as Caleb Downs is, that I think is a little hard to see.
Yeah, I
Again,
agree.
You never know. It only takes one team, but I would find it a little bit difficult to see. And just real quick, since we've spoken a lot about these guards and, what the Giants might do, Field Yates of ESPN just put out a 2-round mock draft with the 5th pick. We'll just do this quick. 5th pick, he has the Giants taking Caleb Downs.
Okay.
Then at number 37, he has the Giants addressing the interior offensive line with Chase Bisontes from Texas A&M. 6'5" guard. Again, that is one of the guys, or probably the guy that first comes to mind when I say best player available at 37 could be an interior lineman.
Yeah.
That's the guy that first pops into my head when I'm thinking
Local
about
connection,
that.
too.
Yeah, he is from Ramsey, New Jersey.
All right, we've got 2 callers on hold, so why don't we push the rules aside and see if we can get to you guys. Jay in Georgia, you're next on the show. Hello.
Hey, this is Ajay in Georgia.
Oh, Ajay. Okay, well, apologies for that. Please go ahead.
No problem. No problem. You guys good today? How you doing?
Very
Good.
well. How are you?
Good. I just have a couple of things, that's been on my mind, with the accusation of our new fullback, Ricard. Now I am thinking, how is Harbaugh thinking? Is he thinking Love now, or is he going to shy away from Love and continue with Tracy and Cam? Which, that's not a bad problem to have. I just smell a rat. I just feel that he may be kind of transitioning himself to pick up Love now to go with the new fullback, so we can have that big blue running game that we had in the yesteryears.
Well, I mean, they're paying Ricard a decent amount of money to come up here, obviously. A 6-time Pro Bowl fullback who is a horse. And anybody that he blocks for is going to reap the benefits of him plowing some free land in front of them, right? So right. I would say this, and this is me, all right? Again, I'm not going to speak for Coach. That's not my place. I think that Scatterboo and Tracy will be even more dynamic with Ricard, ripping holes through a defense in front of them. I don't necessarily know that you need to draft a, quote, higher level talent in Love to have a great running game. The Giants were 5th in the run last year, and I know the quarterback ran for a bunch of yards. I understand that.
Right.
I get
Right.
it. But with Ricard and those two guys behind him, why can't they be a real good running team?
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, honestly, the addition of Ricard made it seem maybe less likely that they would take Jeremiah Love, because as you mentioned, he's going to clear paths for whoever is behind him, where taking that elite running back prospect at number 5 doesn't seem quite as necessary, because you're going to get probably increased production from the guys you already have with Ricard as your lead blocker. I mean, all you have to do is look at last year in Baltimore. Derrick Henry's splits of when Ricard was on the field and when he wasn't are drastically different.
Huge.
They are so much more positive when Ricard was lead blocking for him. And obviously, Derrick Henry is unlike any other running back on the Giants roster in the draft, just period in the NFL. So I think the signing of Ricard maybe makes it a little less likely that they sign Love, because you're going to get great increased production most likely from Tracy and Scadaboo running behind him.
I personally think that bringing Love in is redundant. And it's a luxury, and it's one that's not necessary.
Well, I'm a season ticket holder living in Georgia, and I've been, like you guys, I've been through it these past few years with all the losses. Now, I think it's time. I think it's time for
we're with you
for this tide to change, because when I moved down here 5 years ago, I had like a 3-inch afro. Now I'm completely bald. So it's time for my New York Football Giants to get back in the winning ways, so we all can have a great fall and winter. What do you guys think about that?
Ajay, from your lips to the football god's ears, we are all with you 150%. And I think that the arrow is certainly pointing in the right direction.
We would love nothing more than for that to happen.
Believe me. If you think it's fun to sit here and take all these calls about the misery and the negativity and the losses, it certainly sours the environment. AJ, appreciate the call, and stay well.
Thank you.
Giovanni in Jacksonville is next on the program. Hello.
Hey, Paul and Matt. How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Can't complain too much. So first, I just want to say I'm glad baseball's back. Can't wait for that.
Amen.
Gonna keep me busy in the meantime.
Hopefully you have a streaming service. Otherwise, you'll be locked out like so many other millions of Americans. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, actually, T-Mobile had like this free season of MLB, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
But as far as the draft goes, I would say it really depends on, I guess, obviously best player available, but there's a couple scenarios I want to run through the two of you to see what you think. This is a, bold take here, but I could definitely see the Giants trading from 8 to 10. Like, I know it really depends on who's available, but like one of the top 3 edge rushers are going to be at 5. And then if you assume like Love is also at 5, then obviously Styles is gone. So I could see someone coming up like the Bengals, who really need a lot of help on defense, to come up for like a Bain. Or if you want to see like the Chiefs trading up for Delane or McCoy based on who they want to prefer, one over the other, because the Saints also need a quarterback as well. So I don't know, maybe the Rams come up too, because they're all in. And if they think Love is the missing piece and they want to improve their running game, which will only improve the passing game, like I could see that happening too. So there's like a bunch of scenarios. Just kind of want to get you guys' takes on that. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but if you look at Sonny Styles' tape, he's just got draft buzz like written all over him. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like Isaiah Simmons PTSD or what, but he just doesn't have like enough violence in his game. Like he just gets caught up on tight ends, and he just doesn't have enough physicality across his tape. But if you compare it to Downs, like Downs is aggressive and physical in every single play that he's in. So if it were me and we stick and pick at 5, I'm taking Downs like over Styles any day. So just kind of want to get you guys' takes on that.
Okay, well, first up, I think the Giants would be happy if Styles and Downs were both on the board.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I would be thrilled with either one of them. I would love either one of them would provide the defense with such a big boost, despite both of them playing at positions that might not, scream humongous need after some of the moves made in the offseason, but they would instantly become, Caleb Downs, would he be probably the best safety in the room? I mean, obviously as a rookie, you got to prove it, but like in terms of pure talent, definitely the highest rated rookie going into his rookie season out of all those guys that would be in the room. And same goes with Sonny Styles at linebacker. So I would be over the moon with either one of those two guys because I think it's going to boost the defense in such a big way, either way.
And to your second question, and we did lose him, Johnny Mac? He's already gone?
Yeah.
Okay. To your second question, or your first question, actually, I think we've already discussed this. I just don't think that there are enough of teams that are going to put forth the draft capital to move up, unless maybe they're just so sold on Love that they got to have him, and maybe Styles. I don't know that there's anybody else in this draft that someone is going to put forth the draft capital necessary to get up to 5. I mean, we've talked to a bunch of draft experts, right, over the course of the last how many weeks. And Tony Pauline has been on, again, draft season. So have other experts have been on with John. And they all say this is a flavors draft. It's not one that you necessarily want to be aggressive and move up for. And that the Giants, if they want to move down, are very unlikely to find a partner.
Yeah, again, I said it before. It might be tough for the Giants to find a trade partner, a trade that makes sense. I'm sure they will have some phone calls of people exploring, like, oh, hey, would you maybe be interested in this deal? But the Giants aren't going to do a trade down just to do one. They're only going to do one if it obviously makes sense and is worthwhile. The only thing I will say is there is a chance, I feel like, that depending on how picks 2, 3, and 4 go, it seems to be that there are 3 edge rushers that are really on their own sort of tier. And I'm including Arvil Reese, even though some people, a little bit of a debate of where exactly he'll play. But assuming you put him as an edge rusher, Arvil Reese, David Bailey, and Reuben Bain. So in picks 2, 3, and 4, if 2 of those guys go and there's only 1 left, maybe one of those teams in that 6, 7, 8, 9 range that thought, oh, you know what, 2 of those guys are going to drop out of the top 5. Good chance that we get one of them if we just stand pat. Maybe then they get a little bit desperate and move up. It's possible. I mean, at least personally, I didn't expect the Falcons to move up to pick James Pierce last year, where they gave up their first-round pick this year, which
I didn't either.
Obviously, I don't want to speak for them, but I would feel like that they probably would regret that trade a little bit.
Let me ask you this one. We all assume, everyone that I've talked to, and I think you and John and all of us, assume that Reese isn't getting to the Giants at 5.
I think he's going 2.
Right.
Maybe 3. So, yes.
I think he's going 2 myself. Okay. At the very least 3. But let's just say, for argument's sake, out of the blue, somehow Reese winds up at 5. If you're the Giants, you got to run that card up, don't you?
I mean, I think so. Especially because those guys that we were just talking about being in play for the Giants at 5, if Reese is still there, that means at least one of them is no longer there.
Well, I mean, Styles was taken.
Styles is likely gone.
At least.
It would be surprising if Caleb Downs goes in the first 4 picks.
I agree.
So if it comes down to Reese or Downs, I mean, I'll say the same thing I was just saying about Downs or Styles. Give me either one of them.
Yeah, you could take. I would not trade out of that spot. Here's my point. If those 2 guys are there, and quite frankly, it could be a combination of a bunch of different guys. But if those 2 guys are there, let's say it's Styles and Downs or Reese and Downs, why would you trade out? I mean, seriously, it would take an awful lot to make me move down.
Yeah, I would say it depends. If it's someone, as much as you don't want to potentially trade with someone in your division, if it's like the Commanders who are only 2 picks behind you, if they're the ones calling to move up, maybe then, because chances are whoever you're considering at 5, obviously it's not guaranteed, but there's a decent chance that at least one of the guys you're considering will still be there 2 picks later. But again, you're then giving one of your division rivals the opportunity to draft one of the elite players in this draft. And I don't know how much they're going to be willing to give up to move up just 2 slots. But something like that would be the only way I would really consider it. If those elite level, I mean, we've spoken about this for months now, that this draft doesn't have many very top of the draft blue chip prospects.
Right.
So if you move down, chances are, again, unless it's 1 or 2 picks, chances are you're missing out on that tier. So you're right. It better be very worth it. Whatever you're picking up better be, multiple day 2 picks.
And that's the point, right?
If you're going to move down.
I'm saying you take the phone calls, but it's got to be a Godfather offer, which as equates to an offer you can't refuse. I'm not just trading for a decent deal. I've got to basically rip you off if I'm moving out of 5.
I was going to say, it would have to be someone willing to overpay. Everyone loves using the trade value chart, the points chart.
Yeah, well, that's not good
It would
enough
have
for
to
me.
be someone that's going well above what the chart would say is a fair deal.
100%. Johnny Mac, if we want to grab one more call, we'll be willing to do so if you don't mind. Because I guess we'll put off, as we're running out of time on this program, we'll put off the rules proposals till tomorrow's show. There's no sense in squeezing it in now.
All right.
Why not, right? We got more phone calls. We'll take more phone calls. You people want to get in.
We always love talking to you guys. So if you got calls, happy to take them.
Phone calls are the best. We will always do that. All right, let's go back to our phones. And Johnny Mac has another person up there, and my computer is stalling. Here we go. It's Nick in California. And you are next on the show. Hello. Oh, I'm sorry. I rushed it a little bit. Johnny Mac is on the controls. I jumped the gun. That's a false start on me, Johnny Mac. 5 yards. Hello. How you doing, Nick?
Hi. How you doing, guys?
We're well.
Hey, I just wanted to say, first time calling in.
Thank you.
First time fan, started from last season. First season ever watching. I've been a soccer fan for a long time now.
No kidding.
Watch mainly European soccer. But my friends over here are like, hey, man, no one watches soccer. You got to start watching football. Watched a lot of the games over the beginning of the season. Had no idea really any idea of any of the teams going into it. And kind of just watched a lot of the rookies. And without any prior knowledge of any of the standings of the teams, kind of just really latched onto a lot of this rookie class. So, yeah, it was really fun, and I'm really enjoying it. Quick question I had, I guess, as a new fan, what are some of the standout games outside of obviously our Super Bowl titles? What are some standout games that I can watch to get an understanding of the culture and really, I guess, the idea of the team and the history of the team going forward?
Well, if you're specifically talking about the Giants, what I would do if I were new to the situation, I would grab some of those awesome DVDs of the past Super Bowls and the postseason and get an understanding as to the tradition and the greatness that this franchise was built on. That's the first thing I would do. I would go and watch the Super Bowls right away, watch the 4 Super Bowl victories. And that would give me at least a foundation about the New York Football Giants and what this organization is trying to get back to.
Yeah, I think a great resource would potentially be, not too long ago, the Giants celebrated their 100th season.
Sure.
And we did a lot of different promotional events and a lot of different things to promote the 100th season, throughout the year. I believe it was the 2024 season. So throughout
is
the
some
2024
of that stuff still in the archive?
year.
Is it still accessible? Is some of that stuff? I'm sorry, I probably should know this. I mean,
yes, the website is still up. If giants.com/history/100, it'll take you through, the whole history of the team. Whatever you honestly want to know, it's all there, including a lot of the events that took place during that 100th season. But what I was going to say is, if you want something, a hard copy of something to look at, a lot of people, myself included, Dan Salamone upstairs, a lot of people put a lot of time and effort to create the Giants 100th season coffee book.
Right.
Big coffee book.
Oh, nice.
You could order it online. It's got the whole history of the Giants, big moments, the top 100 players, photos from the last 100 years of Giants football, like everything you could possibly want to know about the New York Giants is in that book. I highly recommend it, and I'm not only saying that because I spent a lot of time slaving over it, but I would, strongly recommend giving that a look, buying it. Also, looks great on your coffee table. I have it on mine at home.
I've got a huge stack already. I'll add it to the pile. I guess my one other question I would ask you guys as well, in regards to the draft, right? Obviously, this is something very new to me, and I'm going to be going through my first draft here with you guys in the very near future. I really just kind of have a hard time prying myself away from any of the, in particular, the Ohio State guys. And I know you guys have been putting out messages saying as well how, everybody is currently over there watching, the pro days. Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, man, I feel like it's got to be one of those two. In particular, especially with this free agency, how we've attacked the trenches so far as well. I feel like Styles is just that standout, almost like a statement piece that we could add to the roster and really try to platform off of him and just move forward.
Well, as I've said many times on this program and some of the other shows that I've been on, simply put, as much as it's a win-win for the Giants, because if they're going to make a pick at 5, they're going to get a really good piece of value, as well as, in all honesty, probably support a weakness on their roster. The downside to it is because there are probably going to be at least 2 or 3 excellent choices that you can make a case for, maybe even 4 or 5. There are going to be a bunch of fans who are not going to like it. Because everybody who thinks it should be Downs is going to be mad if you take Styles, and vice versa. That's just going to that's the nature of fans. You can't please everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just want to say thank you guys. Again, it's funny, actually, I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan over in Europe, so hopefully one of these days I can get the best of both worlds and go to the stadium and watch an NFL game with the Giants. Would be a sweet crossover. So maybe one of these days. And just really appreciate the hard work that goes into these shows. I think it's really fun to have this kind of interaction with the fans. So appreciate you guys and have a good one.
Well, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Tottenham Hotspur. The Giants have played in that stadium before.
As a matter of fact, I was there for the Rams game back in 2016 when the Giants had a really wild interception return for a touchdown by Landon Collins.
Yeah. That's actually, I've only been to one professional soccer game in my entire life. It was last year, and it was in that same stadium. The beautiful stadium.
Oh, yeah. Very, very impressive.
Also, the soccer fans. There's a reason why they're called soccer hooligans. Oh, my God. I've never seen a rowdier crowd.
Okay.
And I went to school in the SEC.
We'll let that go right there.
One thing he did bring up, though, just we haven't even touched it at all. Today, right now, is Ohio State's Pro Day. So all these guys that we're talking about, all of them are participating in Pro Day drills. So, I'm not sure what's up yet, but later today, I'm sure go online, search Ohio State Pro Day. I'm sure there will be plenty of clips of all of these guys that we have discussed today and in previous shows.
And undoubtedly overreactions to every one of the test results.
Yes. And before everyone freaks out, it sounds like 90% of the NFL is currently there in terms of club personnel.
Yes.
So don't read too much into that part.
You think they got enough players to see?
Yeah. It basically every single round of the draft, they've got guys.
Yeah.
It's not even just the top guys. They're guys that are going to go early second round that are working out today. Day 3 picks.
Oh, my.
It's a very good team. There's a reason why they won the national championship 2 years ago.
All right. That pretty much does it for today's program. Oh, by the way, we need to remind you, as always, the Giants Huddle podcast with long-form interviews, Giants folks as well as NFL folks. It's up there, up on Giants.com and your mobile app. John, I know, was talking to Lance Zierlein earlier this morning. I'm not sure when that one's going up. I talked to Gary Reasons. I know that one's already up. Is there something else that's up there this week,
Gary
too?
Reasons one is up. Ryan Wilson went up. I want to say a day or two ago.
Okay.
That's the most recent one. I know there was also not too long ago Eric Edholm. I guess that might have been last week at this point.
So plenty of stuff up there.
Plenty of stuff and more to come.
So whether you're interested in the draft, there's stuff about that. There's stuff about free agency. Gary Reasons is promoting a book that he, two-time Super Bowl champ that he wrote about mentality, philosophy, winning attitudes and stuff. That's why that's up there. And, of course, this is the 40th anniversary of the Giants' 1986 Super Bowl 21 championship squad. Their first Lombardi trophy, one of 4, which we are always proud to identify. So that's why Gary is also part of the Giants Huddle this week. So that'll do it for this edition of the show. We invite you to come back again tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, for another live edition.
Happy opening day to all those that celebrate. Even though the real opening day is tomorrow.
Well, I hope you have a streaming service, and the particular streaming service that will allow you to watch opening day. Otherwise, you're out of luck.
And since I won't be on the show tomorrow, I'm just going to get this in now. Let's go, Mets. You don't have to say anything to
I'm going to leave
Paul.
it there.
Thank you.
I'm going to leave it there because I'm a nice guy. I'm going to leave it there.
I appreciate that.
Don't forget, if you want to catch an archive of this show and our entire podcast network, it's available on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcasts. For Matt Citak, I'm Paul Dottino. We will see you next time on Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. And as always, coming to you from the Giants Podcast Studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. So long, everybody.